Hey, what's up, guys? This is Justin Ford, and I'm super excited about today's episode. I have a guest that's coming back into the studio for the second time, and we're talking about digital detoxing. This is a great episode, guys. You don't want to miss this one. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today, and I hope you've been doing great since our last episode. If you're loving the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, and if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't followed me yet on social media, you can at The Official Justin Ford. Again, at The Official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, and even here on YouTube. I've got another great episode in store for you today. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they lived next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish their goals. Nextdoor Lending is currently licensed in over 26 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. And so whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Got a great episode, got a great guest in studio for you today. It's not a first-time guest. He is a returning guest. He's my brother, doing some incredible things in the marketplace and in the educational system. Welcome back, Kenny Spear.
Thank you, brother.
My man.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again. And I knew, like, after we had you on the show the first time, we're like, oh, no, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
Because we had so much we were talking about. And for those of you guys that are listening that didn't see episode 1, go back and watch episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yes, sir. Excited to have you back, man.
Yeah.
A lot of good things happening.
Yeah, lots changed since last time I was here.
Yep.
We've had an election cycle. We're in a brand new year.
Brand new year.
Wild times, man.
And you're about to have a brand new kid.
I'm having another kid, number 3. Wow. Yeah, I think I shouted out baby 3 on this pod.
You did.
I think I let it out here.
Yep. Wow. And like within the next couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, February 24th is the due date.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How old are you again?
I'm 34.
34. Okay, so I'm 42, so we got about an 8-year difference.
You're looking good, man.
I'm working on it, man.
How do you do it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. The
Dude,
Lord for
Lord's
sure.
doing it, man.
And I think a lot of Starbucks, which we should hopefully have arriving here soon.
Yeah, it's going to be there. You're going to get caffeinated.
Yeah. No, but no, that's awesome. You know, we have 4 kids. I got 2 grandkids. So I have grandkids older than you.
Dude, that's nuts. Than my kids.
Yeah.
I forgot that you're a grandpa.
Yep.
Grandpa Ford.
Grandpa Justin. Yes, sir.
That's so cool.
And wherever I go, people are like, there's no way you're a grandpa. I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so fun, though.
Yeah.
You're going to have you're going to be you could be alive. You probably will be alive for the great-great-grandpa.
Man, that would be legendary.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anybody that has a great-great-grandpa that they met.
I know, not me. No,
You know?
that would be awesome.
Do you have any grandparents around still?
No, they've all passed.
Yeah.
But I did get a chance to meet my great-grandma. She was around for a while.
Got it.
Yeah.
I had a great-grandma.
Yeah.
We called her great-grandma Booby was her name.
No.
I'm going to make the name up. Someone else did.
Nice.
Yeah, shout out. She's dead. All right.
My great grandma's name was Dodo.
Oh, really?
I don't.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know where they come
It's funny because my brother's goes by Dodo.
Yeah?
Like my brother's Dominic, but everybody calls him Uncle Dodo.
Yeah.
Which is...
I don't know. Yeah, her name was Dorothy, so that's probably why they came up with Dodo.
That's so good.
Yeah. I hope I'm not called anything like that when I'm
Yeah, I
great
know,
grandpa.
right? What are you
No
going to
way.
be?
Yeah.
Great Grandpa JJ. That's
You know,
it.
it was funny because when I knew that I was going to be a grandpa, you know, I was 38. So my grandson will actually be 5 this year. And no, I was 37. No, right around that age. And I'm like, I can't be called grandpa. There's no way.
Yeah, what could
I don't
be
fit
cool?
that profile, grandpa. And then we were coming up with like some cool names like, you know, G-pop or something. And then somebody told me this and it just kind of hit me. They're like, whatever your grandkid called you, you're going to love it. And you're just going to accept it.
Yeah.
So he's called me like Papa and stuff like that. So I'll roll with it.
I kind of like G-pop. That was
G-pop.
like wild.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you should coin that one.
I know.
So your grandson is the same age as my son.
Yep.
Maybe they'll go to school together.
I know.
Maybe they'll do a podcast one day.
Maybe they will. And then I have a granddaughter. She's about to be 1.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
That's really wild.
And my daughter and my son-in-law, they want to have like 8 total. So I might have a whole tribe of grandkids.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, you might have another one.
No, that's definitely not happening. I made sure of that last year. Yes, sir.
That ship sailed?
That's done.
Wow.
Over.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no more.
I want to see how many we have left. We're at 3, one at a time.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm excited to have you back.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of great things. And, even on this podcast, I've been thinking, there is a lot of amazing people doing a lot of awesome stuff for the kingdom in what we've called the 7 mountains, right?
Sure.
We've had, Eric Moore on the show. We've talked about 7 mountains. And for those of you guys that are listening and you don't understand 7 mountains are these mountains or spheres of influence, right? We've got the business mountain, which is also known as the marketplace, the education mountain, where you're doing a lot of work. We'll talk about that more today. The government mountain, the marriage and family mountain. We also have the arts and entertainment, and then we also have, I think Lance has now kind of coined it like science and technology.
Yes. Yep.
So arts, entertainment, and media are now one.
Yep.
And then we have the religion mountain, actually.
That's right.
So
That's 7.
there's 7. Yeah.
Good job,
Yes,
man.
sir.
I was counting with you. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, hopefully we get all these. You got it, though. And it's interesting because when I met Lance in September a year ago,
Yep.
I'd asked him about that specifically, about science, medical, technology.
Because that's a lot of what you're working on within the
Sure.
educational and stuff.
100%. There was, especially like on the back of COVID, like it felt like it needed its own mountain.
Yep.
And so it didn't, I don't think, in the first iteration of how
Right.
the mountains were
Yep.
presented. But when I had met him, I'd asked him about it. He's like, have you read like 2.0? And I'm like, no. And he's like, that is what it is. I was like, that's so funny. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. And, I've been even thinking about, because this show, like, faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, have a lot of real estate people on, and then me and my wife do a segment. But I've been really thinking about bringing more guests on who are actively working in one of those mountains and the impact that they're making. And the, for again, those that are listening, what it means is you're going into one of those places and you are strategically, letting God use you from a ministry standpoint, but you're also making an impact and making a difference. Because if you think about the business mountain, the education mountain, the government, the family, all these things there's a breakdown in all of those things, right? There's a lot of corruption in all of those things. There's a lot of need for revival and reformation in those areas. And the government is never going to be the solution, right? We over the years, we've looked to the government to solve the the education problem, because we know that there's a lot of issues in school right now. The marriage problem, like the divorce rate is so high, right? Even the marketplace. So all of these areas, there's a great need. And as believers, right, the 7 Mountain mandate is all of us are called into a specific area. And when we're called into that area, how are we impacting that area for the kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And so you're doing a lot of work in the education mountain. You have an organization that you've started called Positive You. Talk about that a little bit, especially for those that maybe didn't hear episode 1, but just like an overview of kind of what you're doing and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, so Positive You is an emotional intelligence program, operates primarily 5th through 12th graders. So we provide student assemblies, parent presentations, professional development, focus groups, and in-school digital content and curriculum.
Yep.
So every school gets an opportunity to do what we call purpose recognition work. Every single piece of our content and curriculum is targeted at, whether it's a teacher, administrator, student, or parent, to help them uncover and discover their purpose.
Yep.
And so we started this in 2017. We started as a pilot program at Powell Middle School out in Romeo. And, just trying to fill the need. My background is in substance abuse prevention, so I'd worked in many schools prior to this and writing curriculum for other organizations. And I always felt very limited on what I could and couldn't say.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about it last time, about the idea of uncovering spiritual solutions.
Right.
And up until 2017, I felt like I would always get pushback when I tried to bring forth a spiritual solution. By the way, it was a spiritual solution that was freely given to me in my life.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was what had caused the transformation for me. And so I thought, well, we can't dispense with the idea of spiritual solutions, even if we're talking about schools, right? Because my entire, K through 12 experience, we weren't having any discussion about spiritual solutions, right? And so in 2017, just, it was a real leap of faith to start this.
Yeah.
And when the Lord called me into it to start Positive You, called a bunch of schools that summer and ended up one school was like, yeah, we'll connect, whatever.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steve Emile, wherever he is.
Yeah.
I'm actually meeting with this guy next week. He was the assistant principal there, but had just given me a shot. It was like, I love the idea and I want to see if it can impact our students. And so now what is it, 2025? This is like 8 years in at this point. Yeah. And it's just, the truth is the spiritual solutions work.
They do.
And so it's not like I'm some really awesome, important guy that, created something that like caused a big splash. It was more so that I was able to be a conduit for the solution that was given to me.
Yep.
And the solution really took hold in a lot of schools.
Yeah.
And so like by the end, we're statewide now.
Yep.
And we're continuing to expand just because it works. It's good content that really works. So
I love what you said too about a spiritual solution. Even when you look at the Bible, there are universal principles, not just biblical principles. There are universal principles that can be applied to the believer and the non-believer. Yep. The sanctified and the secular, and it still applies,
That's
right? And when you think of education, the separation of church and state, and you think of how the world, and this goes back to like Seven Mountains, right? The voice, the influence of these spheres of influence or mountains have done a really good job to really try to suppress spiritual truths, right? Yep. Spiritual solutions, universal principles specifically from the Bible. Yeah. And so as a people for all these years, we just think, oh, I don't need Jesus. I don't need, spirituality. I don't need Christianity. I don't want nothing to do with the Bible. But yet that's what we're really looking for and longing for. We're all looking in all the wrong places, right? The things that you're experiencing in the schools, right? No secular program can be the solution for that. But these spiritual truths and principles, right? And these solutions bring transformation without even having to use biblical words.
Yeah. And so if you think about it, we talked a little bit about this last time, and I'm glad that we're starting with this because I thought I think it's a really powerful place to start. But when we think about spiritual ideas, we basically sum it up to what we'll call the 3 Ps. So what is potential?
Right.
What is passion? And what is purpose? These are all immaterial concepts.
Yeah.
But if I asked you about it, or if I asked a secular person about it, they would respond to me as though it was a normal, common parlance, right?
Yep.
And so when we're having these conversations within the school district, it gives us an opportunity to open up that conversation about those things. Mm-hmm. But all of those things are immaterial. So the spiritual reality is basically what is beyond our purview of explanation.
Right.
Some of the things that are also beyond our purview is like meaning. Meaning and purpose, I think, are bundled together. But how do we make meaning out of this? Why do we do certain things that we do? Why do we have certain proclivities?
Right.
And we have to be able to investigate that if we want the most out of our people, because passion and purpose and potential, I think, are the most important pieces of the human experience.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah. And the problem is, if we don't provide that within education, if we're not actively striving to provide that, the human soul is yearning for those things, and it will find it in something else.
In something
else.
Else,
what is my purpose? Like, I'm going to do drugs every day. That's actually, I understand why people do that. I was one of the people who said that.
Me too.
So that makes perfect sense to me logically to wake up and take opiates all day.
Right.
Like, I understood that as a purpose because my purpose was pleasure.
Right.
That's the purpose of why I'm here.
Right.
And the same thing is true with, any other, fix.
Yeah, anything.
Anything. So people can go
being
out
on
and
your
find it.
screen all day,
For sure.
You know, drinking, alcohol, any of those things. Yeah.
Totally. And so people are going to do that.
We're distracted.
Yes.
Because we're longing for something and we don't really know what it is.
Yep.
And we don't know how to find it, so we just grab what's available to us right away.
Yeah, and if we can train people on what these terms actually are, knowing that they're part of our basic human necessities, that we actually need it for our survival, then what happens is we allow the conversation to steer towards something that's worthwhile.
Right.
And if we don't, they will look for something else to make them feel better.
Yeah.
One way or another. And so what I think is just so impactful is once I started to realize those things exist, it wasn't about saying no to drugs. It was that I had something better to say yes to, something that announced itself as a sufficient substitute to those things. And so now we're kind of re-implementing these concepts in school, and we're starting to see just really incredible results.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't know if I was reading an article or I saw something not too long ago of how, you know, the system, right, the world system intentionally begins to indoctrinate us from kindergarten.
Yeah.
Right. And you think about it, like kindergarten through 12th grade, these are the most important years of development.
Yep.
And we are being told what we've been told, right? All these years we're, you know, studying things, we're learning things. And it's like, as a kid, you're in school all day long for pretty much, you know, 9 out of 12 months a year for that many years. And so by the time you come out, we've been totally thought to believe a certain way. And none of it has to do with spiritual truth, right? And so when we go out into the real world and we're trying to figure things out, we really have no clue unless we were guided intentionally. But what you're finding is by not having these spiritual truths in school, there are a lot of issues that young kids and young people have. And what you guys are doing at Positive You is you're getting into that place and you're bringing spiritual truths, teaching them how to discover their purpose, their potential, and what was the other three?
Passion.
Yep. How do you do that?
Man, that's a great question. So just like you and just like me, there are things that we find intrinsically rewarding.
Yep.
There are things that are internal for you that announce themselves as worthwhile.
Right.
We have a platform that helps uncover and discover that. What would announce itself? Imagine you can have what you want. The hardest part about getting what you want is figuring out what it is.
Right.
So we take them through a process where they're able to figure out a way to justify their miserable suffering.
Right.
Which we're able to articulate it to them in that exact way, which is the same thing you do every day. And it's the same thing that I do, which is how can I justify my existence? Because life's tough.
Right.
And if you don't have something that announces itself as worth pursuing, you're going to be a miserable cuss. And by the way, I can be that guy today.
Right.
I can forget why I'm doing things. I can forget my purpose.
Yep.
I can lose sight of Christ in my
100%.
pursuits.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a terrible day.
Right.
I'm going to be a miserable, depressed guy.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is if we can start to segue those solutions, and we do that through our goal setting guide, we're able to provide something that's worth pursuing.
Right.
And it's in the pursuit of the goal that you're able to experience the reward system of the dopaminergic system.
Yeah.
And so people think that dopamine is a feel-good chemical. Sure, it feel-goods, but it's actually a seeking chemical. So we've been programmed with our dopaminergic system in the pursuit of finding berries, in the pursuit of finding food, in the pursuit of finding a mate. Those things feel remarkable. Not getting it.
Right.
Pursuing
It's the pursuit. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if we can find those things that announce itself as worthwhile, something that's on the horizon that we can move towards,
Right.
you're instantly activating something worthwhile to do.
Yeah.
If you don't have something to pursue, you're simultaneously removing all positive emotion. If you don't have something to pursue, your positive emotion is gone.
Right.
And so you could experience like finite pleasure in the immediate,
Right.
but eventually that runs out too.
Runs out. And then I think that's why you continue to go look for more pleasure, like whether it's drugs or alcohol or gambling or whatever, you're always seeking more and yet never fully satisfied.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we're in a day and age where we are in a time unlike any other time. And one of the things that I find just wildly fascinating, the Lord's stretching my understanding of this. Every blessing we can possibly experience has an equal and opposite burden.
Right.
And so when it comes to technology, our phones, this is one of the most remarkable miracles that we could possibly have.
Yep.
That we can communicate right now. We can send it out. We can
literally connect with the entire world, know what's going on at any time.
Anytime. We can get coffee delivered to you.
It's about 2 minutes away, too.
All the technology that you have, right? It is a blessing, but for as great as the blessing, there is this equal and opposite burden, right? And so it's then what separates the technology isn't evil, it's the intent of use.
Yeah.
And so what is the intentions of use in any domain? It's not just with phones, right? It's with relationships. It's with anything.
Yeah.
And so for us, we're thinking to ourselves, man, if we can start to course correct some of the intentions and some of the broken thinking that I've had or that our students had, well, then all of a sudden, the only thing left is to experience the blessing of whatever's in front of them.
Yeah.
So
I love that. So when we think about how you've created this program, right? What's the name of the program?
Positive You.
So Positive You is the program, and the company. Okay.
Yep.
So you go into a school, you meet with a principal, right? They say, Kenny, I want you here, right? You go in. Does it start with an assembly?
Most of the time.
Okay, starts with an assembly. And then from the assembly, what happens after that?
So all of our programs a la carte. So they're able to pick and choose what fits best within their school day as well as their budget and all of that. So what I would say is like the pretty standard program for everybody is they would start off with a student assembly.
Yeah.
And from that student assembly, let's say in September, starting the first week of October, that school would get a video every week from October till May, one of our Positive You videos, as well as a corresponding journal workbook that they would work out of every single day for about 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So it's 30 weeks of that.
And so the video, does that go out to the entire school?
Yes.
So the whole school, are they watching it like homeroom or something?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's one day a week they'd get the video.
And how long is the video?
It's about 3 minutes.
So that's quick.
Quick to the point. And then every single week every month has a theme and every week has a sub theme. So like, for example, this is today, is it January 31st?
Yeah.
So today's the last day of discipline month in all of our schools.
Yeah.
Tomorrow starts February 1st, and February 1st is kindness month for all of our schools.
Kindness month.
Kindness month. So like, for example, I just sent out the itinerary to all of our focus group facilitators. So next week, when they're meeting within their focus groups, which is another service that we're providing, our facilitators actually go and meet with a small cohort of kids.
Yeah.
And we're taking the content deeper within those focus groups.
Yeah.
So there's a full school-wide opportunity for kids to gather content. And then we're also really targeted focus on about 15 kids within a focus group.
How do you identify those 15?
Great question. So we are doing something pretty unique over the last 8 years. And when we talk with our administrators that we're looking to connect with, we don't want to create a bad kids club.
Right.
Because it really solidifies the identity that they're bad.
It labels them,
Exactly. And the kids are sharp.
Right, yeah.
Like they go and sit in a class and I'm there and there's 15 kids who are all suspended every other day. And they look around, they're like, oh, great. Now I'm in the bad kids club, right?
Right.
But what we're able to do is we create about a 60-40 split.
Yeah.
Where we have very strong leaders in different domains, as well as very strong leaders in a negative domain, meaning they know how to lead. They're just leading people to do a lot of stupid stuff.
Right.
And if we can capture that kid's attention, in theory, what we want to do is if we can capture the kid who's leading 100 kids to do bad things, we can make a massive shift in the school. So the cohort of kids is a real mix.
So it's strategic on who's in the room.
Very strategic.
That's solid.
And so when we go to the kids who are involved in a focus group, it's not, hey, there's something wrong with you and you need to come to this group as like a punitive,
like you're being punished or something. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, hey, we know that you are a leader. We give them a congratulations letter because they are. And so when they come and connect with the group, we have a pretty great group of kids of about 15 total who are coming together, and then we meet with them for 30 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the program takes on a deep meaning, is that we don't provide just paper to the school. We're providing people.
I love that.
And we got some of the best people on this side of heaven that are like going into the school, causing an impact. The disruption is there. And then we're building relationships with the kids and the teachers and the administrators.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
Woo!
Thanks. Thank you.
Cheers.
Dude, cheers.
Yes.
Get that down, man. Get that down. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. That's
great.
good.
Is that stuff?
Oh, it's the best.
You feel alive again?
I'm back.
There's nothing better than that first sip.
Oh,
you know what I
man.
mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
But within the actual program, then also during the year, we'll provide parent nights. We provide professional development. So we're working with the educators, and then we're working with the parents. So like our big parent night, and we talked a little bit about this on the end, was the Digital Detox Program that we've kind of unleashed over the last 18 months.
Talk about that.
Man, the Digital Detox.
Because that's just not for kids. That's for all of us.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It's for all of us, for sure. So one of the offerings that we provide within the parent night is we want to be able to impact the family in some way. Yep. And so we're trying to capture as much parent attention as we can. So I've been praying about this for the last couple of years. I mean, there is nothing that's impacting our kids on planet Earth more than digital.
Their cell phones, yeah.
It's 100% the case.
Yep.
And so we thought we need to create an offering to create a parent workshop on what to do about this. And so I was able to write with a couple other people what's called the Digital Detox Program.
Yep.
And so it's a platform that we do 3 presentations. We do a professional development. Which is
with teachers and educators.
With teachers, yep. So they understand kind of the soup that we're swimming in. It's based off the Surgeon General's report from 2023.
Yep.
We also provide that information to our parents.
Yep.
So the parents are able to capture the information of what would be best practice and what are some of the solutions, building new social norms within their community around technology, et cetera, having that conversation. Then we're also connecting with the students.
Yeah.
And the cool part is that no matter what domain I'm speaking to, it is so welcomed. It is like people showing up who are wildly dehydrated at the faucet, and they're like, please, what do you have to offer? Yeah. Because we need something to
And it's all of us. It's not just kids. Sure. I mean, and here's the thing, with you being 34 and I'm 42, I heard this talk one time, and it was so powerful. And he said that for us that are this age, there was a before and there was an after. We remember growing up without smartphones.
Yes.
This generation,
no idea,
only knows smartphones.
Yes.
And we don't even know the true effects that technology and smartphones are going to have on people until, we're already starting to see it.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's all this generation knows. And yet all of us, adults, kids, we all have that problem.
Yes.
We all are easily sucked into scrolling, notifications, wanting to know what's going on. And I notice it everywhere I go, whether I'm on an airplane, on a bus, sitting in a restaurant, everybody is on their phones. And unless you're intentional about it, it's just automatic. And so you're talking to these 3 groups, and what's the response, and how have you seen this really helping?
So it's interesting because especially with the parents, there's a real desperation.
Yeah.
And I think it's with all the cohorts that we meet with, but there's a real desperation to have a conversation surrounding this. And what we've been able to extract from the Surgeon General's report is there's basically 4 key indicators that would contribute to adverse mental health outcomes.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is a checkup from the neck up that you can do and that I can do regularly. And being aware of this is important.
Yeah.
But the first one is how much time.
Right.
So the data suggests that if you're spending more than 3 hours a day interfacing with a screen, you double the likelihood to experience adverse mental health outcomes.
Oh boy.
I know, right?
I think mine's like 8 or 9 hours,
I know,
honestly.
Right? Well, it's a lot, right? And I'm the same way. Now,
because we're on our phones all the time.
Yeah, we're
calling,
working,
texting, email,
text, all of that.
Yeah, but it's nonstop.
Yeah. So the amount of time is the first impact key indicator. The second one is what type of engagement are you having? And so when we talk about engagement, we're talking about how are we interfacing and communicating with one another? Now, see, if I call you, Justin, or if let's say we FaceTime, we have an engagement and we are connecting with one another, we'll leave off that call feeling fruitful.
Right.
We'll leave off that call. By the way, there's an equal and opposite blessing to the burdens.
Right.
So the engagement that we have would be fruitful and worthwhile.
Yeah.
But what we're finding is that a lot of these kids on Fortnite or playing Call of Duty with their buddies, cussing each other out and saying, I'm going to effing kill you.
Right.
And, you know, all of this madness, or going on Instagram and having a girl and 5 of her friends do a hate post about you and saying you're a horrible person and you're ugly.
Right.
Well, if I'm engaging with that, my physiological being can't differentiate the phone from reality itself.
Right.
And so if a girl is slandering me, let's say, my body physiologically would react to it as though she was slandering me to my face.
To your face, yeah.
And so the level of engagement and how we're engaging is the second key indicator of the impact. The third one is the content that we're consuming.
Yeah.
So this one is probably, I would say, the most important, and we spend a lot of time when we're working with the adults. I gave you the example last time we were here about how the middle school kids were all exposed to the guy putting the cats in the blender on TikTok. That was like a viral video.
So crazy.
Nuts, dude. Like so nuts. Yeah. And, you know, that is something, the level, that type of disturbing content is full on 24/7, 365.
Yep.
And it is ramping up based on if you're watching it. So the more you watch it, the more it feeds you.
Right. Yeah.
And so we don't actually know what that's going to do to the minds of young people.
Right.
But we have a pretty good guess that it's going to desensitize them in a way that will, that will honestly eventually create psychopathic tendencies. You'll burn through your empathy.
Right.
You'll stop feeling anything. Right. If you see something like that, it would rip through your core. Your nervous system would react like, ah.
Yeah. I don't even like watching the videos of people just like getting hurt. Like as bloopers.
Oh no, I don't like it. I just felt it.
I can't. Like I don't. Some people can watch people getting beat up and they think it's cool, or you know, people falling off and wiping out of off their bikes or skateboards. I can't watch that.
No.
I'm like, no. So I don't even like watching that stuff. But I could only imagine, like you said, that people just keep consuming, and then it just becomes entertainment.
Yes.
And it's like, it doesn't even disturb you anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, and then everything, and this is the scary part. Everything in reality is paling in comparison to the level of emotional quotient that's experienced from those videos. In other words, when you experience peak emotions, positive or negative, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Your brain takes a snapshot and says, you need to remember how this feels because this is a powerful emotional quotient.
Right.
And so the kid who is watching porn 5 times a day or is watching, you know, snuff videos or whatever it is, the likelihood that he's willing to, or even just playing a video game with super high saturation that's super quick and fast in the movement, the emotional quotient they're experiencing from engaging in those things is significantly higher than something like taking a walk with your mom or going to a baseball game with your dad or doing something that would be, you know, that would be meaningful, but doesn't experience that same.
Yeah. So it's the things that should be important are no longer important.
That's right.
Because you're not getting that high. You're not getting that rush. You're not getting that stimulation.
Yes.
And this is why I think it's, and we're seeing this with our generation. When we were kids, man, they had to like whistle for me to come home.
Yes.
You better be home when the street lights come on.
Yeah.
Now kids don't even want to go outside.
Yeah.
Because riding your bike isn't fun anymore.
Right.
Playing in the yard isn't fun anymore. Going out and building a fort is no longer fun anymore because I'd rather be playing Fortnite.
Yes.
Or I'd rather be on my phone or my YouTube. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the problem is that when these things happen, like we talked about with the dopaminergic system, that is a seeking reward.
Yeah.
So what happens is the dopaminergic system is overloaded in a way that even the dopaminergic system is looking to seek things out in the pursuit of something.
Yeah.
And so when we fulfill that with scrolling and we push down, it gives us a new thing to seek.
So
you're just
crazy.
Looking, you're looking.
Yeah.
The game, it's the same thing. The problem is when our dopaminergic system was created by God, it was created with the end in mind. In other words, you seek something out and then you're looking for berries and you get the reward at the end.
Yep.
And the seeking is great. That's what the dopaminergic system does. And then it ends with the reward. The problem is with, I think, what's happening with our generation is they're playing these games.
There's no reward.
There's no prize.
There's no prize. When you're scrolling, you're just literally endlessly, and I'm sure I can speak for everybody, where you're subconsciously doing it, and then all of a sudden you catch yourself like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Literally doing this?
Yep.
And there's nothing there.
Right.
Nothing.
And that's what we're seeing with these young people is, imagine you played a game every day, all day.
Yeah.
6-7 hours a day. And you
Which
just played
kids
the game.
do.
They do it all day, longer than that.
Yeah.
And there's no prize attached to it. And so you just are in this bizarre cycle, this endless loop where you're experiencing positive emotion because you're in the seeking dopaminergic, realm, but there's no end game. And so what happens is by the time these young men are 18 and the world knocks on the door and says, hey,
time to work,
you got to do something, they don't even know how to process this. And by the way, we have a coaching and advising sector of the company in Positive You. So we're working with young adults, primarily young men ages 18 to 30. And I'm telling you this sincerely, Justin, and I'll just say this candidly. I got 3 inquiries yesterday.
Yeah.
I could show you the text.
Yeah.
3 inquiries from 3 separate families who don't know each other, explicitly asking in desperate need of help because their young adult son, 17, 18 years old, is totally incapable of living life.
Has no drive, no purpose, no meaning.
Yep.
Wow. And it's so true because I've been thinking on this, man. You look at this generation, this 18, 19, they don't want to work. They have nothing to work for.
Right.
And I've been like, I don't get it. Like, and even like you see so many businesses who don't have enough employees.
Right.
When you go into a Starbucks, and they're closed because they don't have enough staff. Or I went to the post office and they had to close early because of staff issues. It's like, where's everybody at?
Yeah.
That was like growing up, man. I got my first job at 12 years old being a caddy at a golf course.
Wow.
I lied at 15 years old to get a job at Taco Bell because I wanted a job like working and making money and it wasn't an option.
Right.
And now you have people who just don't want to work.
Yeah. And the thing is that their incentive reward system has been hijacked.
Wow.
That's what it is. And so this is the scheme of the enemy. And by the way, this is a blessing. It's also a burden.
Like you said, yeah.
And so God can use this for what is good. The enemy can use it to harm us.
Yeah.
But what's happened with the kids who are most desperate is their incentive reward system has been hijacked in a way that says the only thing meaningful is the game with no prize.
Wow.
And so they just keep playing it over and over again, not realizing that Satan has taken them and they've put this little hamster on the wheel.
Yeah, it's like you're in a bondage. You're stuck. It's a stronghold and you don't even and because these kids are young, they don't understand it.
Yep.
They don't even know how to process it. They can't even, what you just said, they have no clue. They're just in the game.
Yes.
They don't understand like, oh my gosh, this is wrong. This is bad. I'm stuck.
Yep.
I should be focusing on other things.
Yes.
So now back to Positive You.
Sure.
So now you're going into schools.
Yep.
The teachers, the staff, the educators see this problem.
Yes.
And they can't even put their finger on it because they're just like, man, these kids are acting out. They're bad. They have emotional issues, especially after COVID.
Oh, yeah.
All those kids that came through COVID, and they don't know what to do. I mean, I've met with educators. I've worked in schools. I remember one of the principals in Taylor, like, it's worse than it's ever been. And these kids are struggling. They're fighting. They're angry. They don't want to do work. They're disrespectful. All this stuff. And we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So you created Positive You.
Yep.
And obviously 8 years ago, things have changed a lot over the last 8 years.
Sure.
You guys are adapting with what's changing. What's the solution? And obviously we talked about it. Like, I want to know, what is Positive You doing to create the solution? What are some of the results?
Yep.
And then how can people listening, because I know there's some people listening, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my kid, or that's me, right? That are feeling that. What could you leave with those that are listening? So what are you guys doing intentionally? I want you to talk a little bit more about the digital detox, because that's a big one. What are the results that you're seeing? And then how can others that are listening what could they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as it pertains to the digital detox, the cool thing about our program is that with all of our services, we're providing qualitative and quantitative feedback. So we're able to get in real time with a QR code feedback from the parents of how impactful and how necessary the information was. And the crazy part about this is, Justin, I wasn't expecting this. And I talked to Josh about it. After we had done our first 3 digital detox presentations, all of our schools would get a QR code on the last slide. They would click it and they'd fill it out. From our first 3 presentations, I was talking to Josh, we were laughing about this, but literally every single parent that took the survey gave us the highest score on all 10 questions. And we were like, we were thinking to ourselves, it's so impactful that it's almost unbelievable that every parent was like 100% said it was engaging, 100% said the speaker had all the information, 100% said that they were able to capture a solution.
Wow.
That's changed a little bit now that we've gotten to 6, but we're talking about 85 to 90% now of people have had a massive impact in their life with tangible solutions that they've been able to take home. So as far as the pre and post data, we're able to provide them the educational awareness surrounding these things. Like we mentioned, even just identifying those 4 key indicators, which is, I don't even think I got to the last one, but it's time, engagement, content, and then omission. So what are we leaving out as a result of engaging with our technology? And so the other thing I was going to mention that you had talked about, and this is the challenge in education, because what we're providing is not going to be a magic wand. No. I think it's the best and most viable solution by far, I would say that. But there is so many other at-risk factors that need to be mitigated in order for us to be able to provide a powerful program that it's going to really require everybody. And one of the major issues that we're seeing, and especially within our young people, but I think it extends to adults too, is people have gotten to the point where they can't think better than how they feel. So feelings have become the mode of being. Yeah. How I feel dictates my daily actions as opposed to how I think, right? Yeah. And so if feelings have become the mode of being, then if you feel like crap, you will think like crap. Right. And then you'll act like crap as a result. Yep. That's another way that the enemy has hijacked our system. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to tell our young people, it's not about thinking and feeling your way into good action. It's about acting your way into better thinking and feeling. Yeah. And so we got to put the work in. We got to do something different. We have to change the way that we interface with reality if we want the results. And if you don't believe me, try it. Yeah. And so we are able to get into a negotiation with our kids to say, let's have a negotiation. Yeah. You don't think this will work. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. You're also very clear that you're, suffering and struggling and can't get off your game. So the admission has been made. And so the way is cleared for us to be able to provide solutions. And when we're able to do that, they have remarkable transformation. Yeah. And so I think I was able to touch on some of those, the questions that you had shot out. I don't know if I missed one or not.
Well, here's what I'll say is, and this is something I was even thinking while you were speaking it, and I don't know if you have this yet or not, but man, this came to me, is a digital detox program that people who are maybe not in one of the school programs can have access to, whether they sign up for it, order it. Yep. Almost what I saw is maybe someone's listening right now in California and they're like, man, I want access to this digital detox program. Yep. And kind of like you have a video program for students at school. Yep. Maybe there's something that a family or maybe you already have it or maybe it's in the works. But I mean, like where someone could go to your website, sign up, have that program at home and the whole family could work through it together.
It's so funny you say that because you're on it. And I'll say this here. It's totally fine. We're in the process of finalizing this. We call it the Digital Detox Box. So
it's confirmation.
Yes, it is confirmation. I needed that.
Yeah.
There is a, think about it like this. What we have, we're sending it out here today on the Justin Ford podcast.
The Digital Detox Box.
Yes, it's the Digital Detox Box that is it's basically a board game for families. We wanted to gamify the experience of providing authentic connection.
So smart, bro. I love that.
And so within the context of the box, there is a gamified approach and a winner over a long period of time. So the digital detox game can be played for a day, it can be played for a week, it can be played for a month. There's a leaderboard within the family based on screen time and other, key indicators of how you would measure it. And so we're kind of walking through the final process of this, because what we'd like to do is we want to be able to provide parents with that so they can leave. It's one thing to know the information. It's another thing, like we've talked about before, to become the information.
Wow.
And so we want to be able to provide that sufficient substitute. And some parents just don't have the tools to like begin the conversation or to open it up. And by the way, if we're able to gamify the experience in a way where there's a winner,
I love that. Where you have a leaderboard.
Yes.
Do we have a leaderboard up in our office that shows, who's got the most appointments and all that? And everybody wants to be at the top.
Yes.
So I love that, bro. That is so good.
And so we can do that within the confines of the family and incentivize people,
love
right?
it, bro.
It's about incentivizing them to do that. And then the other part is that we want to add something within the game where we can, especially when it's small, it'll be easier to do this, when a family wins, getting their feedback and testimony, and then getting the winner some positive use stuff, like getting them out there.
Some merch or some swag. Yeah.
Something like
I
that,
love that.
Something cool. So we've been working on this concept for a while to try to just get it up to speed. We have a couple of prototypes. Shout out, Josh actually built a prototype, which was really cool.
Dude, I love it, bro.
But it's like one thing that we can do to provide some sort of tool to get into the hands of the families. And start there,
It's so good because backing up to something you said a few minutes ago, everybody knows there's a problem. Nobody knows how to address it.
Right.
Nobody knows how to fix it. Nobody knows how to say, all right, this is how we change this, because this addiction on screens and phones is no different than being on heroin.
Totally.
It's that powerful, if not more powerful,
Sure.
because there's not an immediate, you can't overdose and die off of your addiction to your phone, right? So you don't look at it as the same of putting a needle into your arm where you could die, but the stronghold is just as strong, if not more. And what I love about this digital detox box is every home in America needs that, bro.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Every single home. Because think about it. I need it in my home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Because I know my wife's always like, man, you're always on your phone. And I use my phone for work, but I also, there's constantly same thing.
Totally.
And then I look at my kids, right? It's like they're the generation that all they know.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing too, man, is and I see this and I know it's out of a convenience thing, is when you have a 2-year-old and you're at the restaurant, rather than having them act up, you give them the phone.
Totally.
And those 2-year-olds know how to use that phone better than most people on the phone, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Bro, this is so needed, bro.
Well, I appreciate that. The thing is that one of the things that, and I want to give, because this was actually one of the things that you had mentioned about what are some of the things that people listening right now could really pull from this today? What kind of solutions? And so I want to just remind everybody that, once again, the burden that you're experiencing has an equal and opposite blessing to it.
Yep.
And so this isn't a let's
break all of our phones and get rid of all of
exactly.
The
detox, the idea of the word detox is the removal of the harmful elements. And so your phone is good. It just needs to be removed of the harmful elements, right? And same with me. It's like, well, what are the harmful elements? Well, maybe I need to shut off my notifications at a certain time, past. And I'm not good at this. You know what I mean? Ask my wife. I'm not great at this either. Yeah. But trying to lock my phone in my office at a certain time.
Right.
Being conscious. But one of the rules that we have at my house, this is something that we don't do perfectly, but at least is a rule. There is a standard of we don't have phones at the dinner table.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
If we're at the table together, we can't have phones. And it's obviously my kids are 5 and 2, so they're not having phones, but we just get rid of that. Yeah. And it would be much easier for me to play Wildcrats for my son, or to put on something for my daughter. But I want to be intentional about the fact that in order for you to experience genuine, authentic connection, it's you need to be able to sit with people in the boredom too.
Yeah.
And so we want to be able to carve that out. But the thing I wanted to give to parents is don't freak out about it. And instead of thinking about how you can implement this solution for your kids, think about how you can implement the solution for yourself.
For yourself first.
That's it.
Yeah, because your kids are only going to follow what you do.
Totally. And if you just put down the magnifying glass and pick up the mirror, and by the way, this isn't just with phones. This is with anything.
Anything, right? Yeah.
Like, stop looking at what needs to be changed in everybody else and start looking at what needs to be changed in you.
It has to start with us.
And that's when the real power happens.
Dude, this is so good, bro.
Yeah, man, this was fun.
Jeez.
How are we doing on time? We're doing good.
We're right. We're literally right there. And you know what's awesome is we didn't even talk about what we were going to talk about today. But I knew there was obviously so much to talk about, but this is it. This digital detox, man, this is huge, bro. And I love that you're doing this. And I'm just excited sitting here because, as I told you yesterday, I want to be involved in any way I can to help and support this mission because it's so big. And if there's anybody listening right now, how can they get a hold of you, Kenny?
Yeah, definitely connect with us. www.positiveu.net. You can connect
and
with
that's
us online.
Y-O-U.
Yes, Positive U.
Y-O-U.
The U is spelled out Y-O-U. Same with, or you can shoot us an email at info@positiveu.net. Connect with us. We're actually looking to collaborate with some program facilitators.
Yep.
So we're looking for some young adults to get involved. So if you're interested in that, let us know.
And if you're in the state of Michigan and you would love to get Positive U into your kids' school, or you're an educator here in the state of Michigan and you want to have a conversation with Kenny, they can reach out to you the same way.
Absolutely. All the stuff, all of our, maybe we can tag it in the bottom here, but yeah, info@positiveu.net. That'd be great. All of our social media is @PositiveU LLC. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll connect.
And regarding this digital detox box, I know it's kind of in the making, but do you guys have an idea of when you think that might be available?
I would say that it's going to be on the market within the next 6 months.
There we go.
So I think that
here in 2025.
Yes, we're going to get it out this year. And I think the fact that I've just said that on air is going to force me.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to. So if you're listening right now, definitely reach out to my brother Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny Spear, man, you're a blessing, man.
This was fun.
Yes, sir.
As always.
We'll
do it again.
Oh, we have to.
We're gonna carve out a 3-hour set over here.
Hey, we got to do that for sure. We're making it happen for sure.
Heck yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode here of the Justin Ford Podcast. If you loved this episode, and I'm telling you right now, this is an episode that relates to every single person. Share this episode with someone that you know. Have your kids listen to it. This is something that we all need. We all need this digital detox in our lives. And again, if you're an educator, your kids go to a school here in Michigan for now, because I'm sure this is going national. I'm speaking that now. Reach out to Kenny and Positive U guys. They're doing some incredible things. If you love the show, again, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And before we wrap up today's show, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is not just the sponsor of our show. This is our go-to lender for the Justin Ford real estate team. We entrust all of our buyers with Nextdoor Lending. They have a perfect A+ Better Business Bureau rating, over 1,000 5-star reviews. And so if you're looking to purchase a home and want to get pre-approved this year, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. If you are a homeowner looking to refinance, take some cash out, as interest rates hopefully come down later in the year, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. And if you're a real estate agent looking for a great mortgage lender partner, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Two things I always like to leave you with. Number one, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number two, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.